Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Copperline Rattler Ranch. I'm Julia. Got Loki here with me. We're going to start another garden project. Oh, it got so cold last night, down to 26. I'm sure for a lot of people that's not all that cold, but here in Arizona, after you're acclimated, that's freakishly cold. So we're not going to work on the house today, but I am going to do this project because it won't take very long. I found this project on YouTube with a YouTube creator called Oklahoma Gardening, and she built super simple raised garden beds out of pallets. Super simple. So we're going to try that. We're going to at least build one. I'd like to build 3. If you recall, we got a whole bunch of pallets a while back. And we're going to use some of those pallets for this project because that's why we get them, to use them for projects. So I'm going to get some pallets for this, and then we'll show you how we do these. So stay tuned. All right, some of you will recall that we had this nice pallet score. We've used a few of the pallets already, but I'm going to use more. So each one of these beds is going to take 4 of these pallets. So I'm going to start with 4, make sure I can do this. And like I said, this is so super simple that pretty much anybody can do it if you've got some pallets. So they don't have to be brand new pallets. They can be older ones too. So I'm going to load some of these up into the bed of the truck. So what we're going to do a little bit of a revision on the one that the woman on Oklahoma Gardener did. And she made just a small pallet raised garden bed. We're going to double the size and do it just a little bit differently, but really basically the same. So we're going to cut 2 of these pallets in half this way. We're going to remove the center board that's in the way, cut those 2x4s in half on 2 pallets. Those will make the shorter sides, and then on either end we're going to upright 1 full pallet to make trellises so that I can put tomatoes or the squash in those areas to trellis them up instead of having them grow all over the garden. So that's what we're doing. We're going to pull off 1 board on each of the 2 boards and then cut those in half. Like it's wanting to come out. It's going to be impossible, right? Of course. A lot of people do it with a sawzall. There we go. There you go. Get those nails out of there. They'll come out. Get out of twisties. You see it. So quite often pallets are made with this twisted, I don't know if you can see it, hopefully you can, this twisted, almost a screw-like nail. It's got a flat head, but the nail itself, the body of the nail, is twisted. I think that just holds that wood together. It's not always the best wood, so I think it's what they use to hold them together for a longer period of time so they can be used and used and used. So because of that, it makes them difficult to get out of the wood. So a lot of people, like I said, told Dawn, use a sawzall just to cut the head off underneath that piece of wood, and then it just comes apart easily that way. I'm just trying to do it to where we don't destroy the boards. Yeah. That works too. Gotta get out of the 2x4 first. Yeah, put the nails, I just put them in here. Step on them, or run over them. We're going to do that. Don's going to go grab some drill bits. We did split this little piece here. He wants to tighten that up. And we'll get to putting this together. And you'll see how it comes together. Stay. So what we're going to do is we're going to screw these at the 2x4s together in several spots down there that we can probably reach better from the inside. And then we're going to put the taller ends up on end to give us the trellises for either end for any viney type plants. Until I fill it up, we can move it around and decide exactly where we're going to put this thing. So let's get started on that. Now these aren't, of course, going to match up perfectly because that's the way our life goes.
But it's going through the 2x4 though.
Yeah, you're going through the 2x4 in a couple of spots. It's on there with the nails. No. There. I think that's gonna
work out a little better.
A little bit better.
Are you able to hold it?
Yes.
Or do you want to go get some clamps?
No, I'll hold it. It's not gonna be that long, so for me to do. Prettier side on the inside because I want more space to hold the soil. Even though we'll put some fabric in there, some landscape fabric, need a little bit more stability to hold the soil in there. Voila! So we have finished 3 beds. I only made 1 with the 2 tall sides. And as you saw earlier in the video, we put 1/4 inch hardware cloth, or that mesh hardware cloth, on the bottom. And that's because we have a problem with the pocket moles, the pocket gophers, and they'll dig up under the beds. So I did that also with the the cinder block or the concrete block beds as well. I put that mesh underneath those beds to keep that from happening as well. So now what I'm doing is I'm putting in the landscape fabric, and that's simply to hold the soil in the bins, in the beds, because they're open slats on the sides. So this is going to keep the soil from spilling out, and any critters from kind of crawling up and in. They'll probably get a little bit, bumped off. Probably won't prevent all of them, but hopefully some. So I'm going to show you how we do that. Let me show you the one that I've already done. I've already done the tall one. And again, this doesn't have to be neat or perfect. It just has to hold the soil. So here we go. All right, so here's the tall one, the one with the 2 tall sides that I'm going to use for supports for any vining crops like tomatoes, or if I do squash again this year, I'll put them up on this instead of having them take over the whole garden. And in here, you can see all this black is that landscape fabric. So what I did was I cut 2 pieces. I measured the sides, and there's about 2 feet from where I wanted it to end to the bottom on each side, and then the width in between, and that came out to about 7.5 feet. So I cut about 8-foot sections. I'd rather have a little too much than not enough. Went in, stapled one edge, took it down all the way to the floor, kind of kicked it in with my feet, and you can see there's a big wrinkle, no worries. Came across, didn't staple anything there, and then came back up and kicked it again. I pushed it in with my feet at the bottom, at the bottom edge. I pushed it in with my feet and then brought it up and then stapled again. See, it doesn't have to be pretty. It does not at all have to be pretty. It just has to be functional. So, I'm not worried about these staples looking ugly. There's going to be plants growing in there, that kind of thing. And then, so I did 2 of those, so 1 on each side. And then, sorry, you can see my shadow. Then I put 1 long one that was about 10.5 feet. Because then again, I measured 2 feet here, 2 feet here, and then the distance along this bottom spot here. And that came out to about 10.5 feet. And as you can see over here, I had some left over. So I just folded it over because, my measurements aren't ever totally accurate. When I pull this out and measure it, I always cut a little bit extra. Did the same thing. I started on this side, stapled it at the point where I wanted it, brought it down and kind of scooched it in the corner at the bottom with my toes, with my feet, stapled that all in place, and then took it all the way across the bottom. And the same thing, I kind of scooched it in with my toes, my feet, brought it up and stapled it across the top, folded over my excess, and just stapled that down instead of cutting it. Over on this side, and the excess I had, I went ahead and cut off. I should have just folded it over like I did here. So I don't mind if it's wrinkled. I just want it all the way down to the floor of the bed, because when I put that dirt in there, that's going to weigh a lot, and I don't want it pulling and tugging on these sides and pulling them out of the staples. So I want it to lay down in there nice and neatly. Okay, we've got a pneumatic stapler. They're not very expensive. You just have to have the air compressor to go with it, and the air hose, of course, oil. But you can use any kind of stapler, like those, you know, the ones that are kind of hard to push. We like this one because I don't like pushing real hard on this stuff. I like it to go fast. So first, I'm going to line it up where I want it to go. Now I do have overlap on these two sections, and that's okay. So I'm going to line it up and put in a few staples, and then I'll show you what else I do. Don't staple your fingers, it hurts. All right. Now, I have it kind of just bunched up. Spread it out. Kind of make sure it goes all the way to the bottom of the bed. Leave this loose here while I work. Oops. And I'm going to go ahead and staple it to the wall in a few places down. And then I'll bring it across, and we'll do the same thing on this opposite side. So there it is, all tucked in, all along the bottom there, on both sides. So I'm going to do this other side, then I'm going to do the long piece across the middle the other way, the opposite, the opposing fashion. So that's the second one all the way done. I'm going to do this one. You don't have to sit through that because I'm not going to record it. It goes pretty quickly, half hour maybe. First one took a little bit longer. And like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just make sure that you're not making a hammock in there, because then that's going to pull down on the fabric and tear it all out of the staples. So you're going to want it all the way flat on the bottom, all the way around. Thank you for watching. We do appreciate it. Remember to like these videos, share, and subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them in the comment section below this video in the YouTube channel. That way we kind of get credit for you. So if you're watching it off of the Facebook page, put a comment or question under the video itself in the YouTube channel, and that way we do get credit for that. All right, thank you guys. We'll see you next time.